Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music. We've been talking about how the American songbook and jazz standards are a great study for harmony and for how melody works with chords. This week, we're most particularly interested in minor jazz tunes. Of course, there's plenty of them. Minor harmony has a couple of its own little challenges, and especially at the sort of jazz level, the scales associated with it are just that much more complicated and that much more rewarding. I've got 6 tunes to look at, so let's dig in. So you know that any major scale has a relative minor. In this case, C has a relative minor, A minor. And they share the same key signature, and the notes are identical, except in minor harmony, classical composers particularly really wanted to have a leading tone, in this case, the G sharp. So you'll see this scale talked about in classical music. It's the harmonic minor. There's also the melodic minor. They differ in 1 or 2 notes. The standard Aeolian minor has the same notes as its relative major. The harmonic minor raises the 7th degree. That's a kind of a biting sound, isn't it? And the ascending melodic minor has a raised 6th and raised 7th. I've gone into great detail in a couple of videos about the harmonic and melodic minors, and especially the melodic minor. But here's the thing, the melodic minor is a great, great sound. Let's take a look at these 6 tunes that I've pulled out for us. Our first tune is Summertime from George Gershwin's Porgy and Bess, the opera, and it's a kind of a blues, a minor blues, right? One of the great things about minor blues is you've got a minor 1 chord and a minor 4, and then the turnaround on the minor blues, like something from Long Train Running, flat 6 to 5, which I think is just a great sound. Well, in Summertime, this beautiful introduction emphasizes the major 6th and the major 7, right? So pretty. And then this dominant chord to the 4. And I'm going to go to 2-5 in A. And then the whole thing starts again. And then this D7 for some reason, I don't know, it's so much fun. And then it sort of releases. I like this walk down, and here's that flat 6 sound. And then the whole thing cycles again. I would say Summertime is one of those tunes you should learn to play in almost every key. It's got that really great melodic minor scale sound. It uses 2 5s effectively and kind of follows a sort of a 16-bar blues concept. Let's go on. Louis Bonfa's Gentle Rain is a bossa nova, and it sits right in the A minor sound, just like Summertime. Well, it's got 2 5s in a couple of different keys. And here's the first one. There's the B half diminished to E, and then now we're going to head to F. G minor 7 is a 2, C7 is a 5 of F6. So pretty. And now another string of 2 5s. I'm going to go right around the circle. F sharp minor 7 to B augmented. Another minor 2 5 heading towards D, We're going to turn the D into a minor 2, right? This beautiful sound there. And then we're just going to bail out back to A minor. And here the B flat 7 acts like a tritone substitution for E7. It's got the same tritone as E7. We're back to the top. It will repeat. I love that E minor, A minor cadence at the end. It's almost like a backdoor cadence, G up to A minor. It's sort of a rock sound. Bonfa is a terrific composer, Latin composer, Brazilian? I don't know. Maybe some of you guys know. I'd be interested. I had one Bonfa album when I was growing up. I played it to death. Let's go on. Our next tune is Beautiful Love, more jazz 2/5s, more minor 2/5s. In this case, we've got E minor 7, flat 5, A7, flat 9, which is an A altered, to D minor. And remember, we were talking about using different melodic minor scales for all those. So for my E minor 7, flat 5, I'm just going to play it in a very sort of root position sort of space. I want to use the G ascending melodic minor. You see how I get the important notes from the chord? It's like a raised 2 locrian. I get the F sharp instead of the F natural, which is a plus when you're soloing. For the A7 flat 9, I want to use B flat ascending melodic minor because it gives me all the notes I need. It's a mode of the ascending melodic minor. Well, here's Beautiful Love. I usually play it as a ballad. A regular old 2/5 to F, which is reasonable. It's the relative major of D minor. In Germany, we'd say it's the parallel major, but we're in America. Where am I? Oh, 2/5, back to D. Another beautiful ballad, a minor ballad, jazz ballad. Let's go on. No Moon at All. I love this song so much, and I think mostly because it's got this bass line that we've seen. A kind of a lament bass, right? But it kind of swings, right? It's got kind of this vibe. Right? I love that. Just let the bass line fall down. And then the B section, so much fun. We've been in D minor, turn that into D7, and we're going to go right around the circle of fifths. And it sounds like a New Orleans vibe. We're just going to go right up the chord and then do the same thing on G. So great. So much fun, that bridge. And then we're back to where we started. No Moon at All. What a great song. We got two more, right? We're going to do You Don't Know What Love Is, which is a favorite of mine. My trio, we do it as a funk almost, which is just a real, because it's just fun to play around with. And then Song from My Father, another one really very much influenced by Latin music, but also contemporary blues. This is kind of a music theory approach that we're taking. We're analyzing the tunes. We're not just allowing ourselves to sort of flow. And, and I don't think there's anything against that. I think what we have to do as players is begin to understand the way chords are constructed from scales, and minor harmony is a little more particular about that kind of thing. The interaction of the melodic minor modes, the relative majors, and just the overall structure of minor tunes, just a little bit more complicated and I think a little bit more rewarding. If you're interested in getting that kind of thing into your own work, join us here, subscribe to the channel. We got a community of composers, songwriters, producers who are interested in using music theory in just this way, using it in a way to just kind of make their own work better in your way. It's music theory for everyone. Let's go on. As promised, You Don't Know What Love Is, and we're in F minor, 2 flats. So we do this in my band kind of in that sort of space there, which is fun. It's almost like a kind of a shuffly sort of funk, but it's also done as a ballad really effectively. Here's one thing I love about it. It begins with the melody strongly on the 9th of the minor 1 chord. And it really feels like it wants to be a 2 going to E flat. There's just something about the way that sounds to me, but it doesn't give in. In fact, it sort of doubles down. The D flat, which is the tritone substitution for G, goes to C altered. Back to F minor. What a beautiful melody. And it's a sophisticated tune. The bridge goes to A flat major, right, which is the relative major of F. So here we go. Begin on a 2-5. Beautiful sound. Now we're on A flat. And then just beautiful modulation. We're going to go 2-5 to C. And then the C major gives way to that D flat dominant. And we've heard that before, right? Going to C7, C altered, and we're back to where we started. I love a good minor ballad. One last tune, Song for My Father. A Song for My Father lives more in the minor rock world because it's got this kind of bass line, right? The Andalusian cadence. It uses 1, flat 7, flat 6, and back home again. We're in F minor again, and it's kind of Latin, right? Here I am on the flat 7, and it goes down to D flat, the flat 6, and this is so beautiful, the melody. Oh, now that is fun. That melody, check it out. So this is a C7 sus4, I guess. And then I'm going to play an E flat major triad over F to get, well, I suppose I should add the minor. I must always play triads. I do this, right? So that it never really feels quite resolved there. And I think I got that from listening to the amazing Horace Silver album. By the way, great album cover. Okay, now we're going to go to the B section. We just go right to the flat 7. And again, the melody's on the 9th. You see it's sitting there on the F. And then the melody's on the G. That's the 9th. And then I'm going to do another triad here. This is D flat triad over the C7 or the C shell to the E flat triad over the F. Right? So pretty. I love that sound. So something. I really just like this. Well, if you're interested in melodic minor harmony, I've done a series on the melodic minor scale and associated chords. You'll have to go searching for it. It was, I don't know, a couple of years ago now. But I will say that it keeps coming up. And if you allow it to come up in a way that, you can understand and work with in your own composing and your own work, you'll add like kind of a sort of a depth. I feel like melodic minor harmony and minor tunes in general are a certain quality of spice that adds a real expansive flavor to our music, right? Well, I hope this has been useful. Like and subscribe and ding the bell to be notified when I do my videos. I'll see you next time.